right, now President Trump pardoning over 70 people involved in his effort to challenge the outcome of the 2020 election. And President Trump also threatening to sue the BBC for $1 billion for editing a speech he made, making it appear that he was inciting violence. We go now live to NTD's Washington correspondent, Mari Otsu, who's at the White House. Good evening, Mari. What's the latest on the pardons President Trump's making?
Jack, good evening. Yes, President Trump is announcing that he's granting pardons for over 70 people involved in his effort to challenge the outcome of the 2020 election. They include former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, and attorneys Sidney Powell and John Eastman. Now, back in June, President Trump had called for a special counsel to investigate the 2020 election results after FBI Director Kash Patel said that the Chinese Communist regime may have colluded to influence the race. Patel had said in June that the FBI had located documents which detail, quote, alarming allegations related to the 2020 U.S. election, including allegations of interference by the CCP. And meanwhile, relatedly, President Trump is threatening to sue the BBC for $1 billion over its edit of his January 6th speech in a documentary that aired right before the 2024 presidential election. In a letter to the BBC, President Trump's legal team demands the company immediately retract the documentary by this Friday, November 14th, calling it false and defamatory. Let's take a look at the BBC's edit of President Trump's speech versus the original clip. Watch.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight. We fight like hell. We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and we're going to cheer on our brave senators and congressmen and women.
This is coming as the CEO and director of the BBC resigned on Sunday. And earlier today, the chair of the BBC apologized for the edits of that video, but rejected claims of bias in the BBC's reporting. Jack?
Yeah, it's very interesting. That speech was taken from about an hour apart. They spliced those together, and a lot to look out for there. But Mari, another topic we can move on to is about the Syrian president at the White House today with President Trump. How did that go?
Sure. Yes. So for the first time in history, actually, President Trump today met with Syria's President al-Shara, and the first time a Syrian president ever visited the White House. And the White House says that President Trump is meeting with him to push more broadly for peace in the Middle East. And in a major turnaround for Syria, al-Shara is pledging to formally enter Syria into the U.S.-led anti-ISIS campaign. Here's President Trump talking about the meeting after he met with the president today. Watch.
He's a very strong leader. He comes from a very tough place, and he's a tough guy. I liked him. I get along with him, the president. We have peace now in the Middle East, first time that anyone can remember that. And we want to see Syria be successful along with the rest of the Middle East. So I have confidence that he'll be able to do the job.
Al-Shara was formerly the leader of the U.S.-designated terror group al-Qaeda before breaking ties with the group in 2016. Al-Shara led the forces that toppled the Assad regime, the totalitarian dictatorship governing Syria, last December. And he's since vowed to transform Damascus.
And we paved the way for the return of refugees. Accordingly, Syria has transformed from an exporter of crisis to an opportunity for peace for Syria and the region.
The U.S. says that it sees its support for al-Shara, including by lifting all sanctions on Syria, as essential to reducing Iran's influence in the Middle East and for preventing the Islamic State from reforming and reorganizing. Jack, back to you.
Mari, thank you for those updates.